Welcome back to Kaulig Nation, your shop for all things Kaulig Racing, Digger Nation, SVG Nation, NASCAR, and more. I'm Sean. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes out of your day to, really jump into a loaded short video here. First up is our question of the video. Did you enjoy episode 1 of the Kaulig Racing NASCAR documentary, Trophy Hunting? Let us know down in the comment section down below what your thoughts were on episode 1. If you've not seen it yet, it is available on NASCAR's YouTube channel. Go check it out. We got some news to get to before I dive into my thoughts on episode 1, and that is NASCAR is adding the historic Mexico City F1 track to the 2025 schedule. An announcement is planned for Tuesday that will include NASCAR's Ben Kennedy and Daniel Suarez, according to Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic. This is huge, in my opinion. You know, the the F1 Mexico City course is so unique that it kind of has two separate parts of it that are in, shall we say, in a stadium, and then the other big part of it is outside of a stadium. So it's really laid out in a really weird, dynamic way, and it's got five big braking zones that's going to allow for a ton of passing, probably carnage too, because we're talking about two very, very, very high braking zones where you're bound to see wrecks, and then three more what I would say intermediate braking zones. Obviously, you get the long stretch there in Sector 1. Horsepower is going to matter because if you come off turn 17 and you don't have momentum, it's lights out for you. You will not carry the speed that you need down to turn 1. And if you don't do that, your whole lap is over at that point. You can run a perfect lap after that, but if you don't get off 17 good and carry your momentum down into 1, you're out to lunch. This is really going to benefit Kaulig Racing as a whole, the team, because the course, it's pretty similar to Cota. It's a little smaller than Cota, but in terms of tracks that are on the NASCAR schedule, you will not see a course on the NASCAR schedule anywhere close to Cota other than this one here. I believe it's going to be for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, so don't be surprised if you see SVG and AJ run both. Unless Kaulig limits them, there's the rumors that they both might share a part-time ride next year with Kaulig and Xfinity. So one of them might only get the Xfinity start, but both of them will be running the Cup Series race. It should benefit Trackhouse too. Trackhouse is good at Cota. To me, this is fantastic news. Can't wait. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. This immediately becomes one of my favorite courses on the NASCAR schedule. Well, let's move on to our review of Trophy Hunting Episode 1, the Kaulig Racing documentary on NASCAR's YouTube channel. I thought it was pretty decent. When it comes to this sort of thing, we're moving away from reviewing races and results and talking about, reviewing an actual TV product, albeit it's on YouTube. I can tend to be a little more critical because this is where my background is in. I thought it was good, but ultimately, when you include your entire trailer in only a 15-minute episode, you're really only getting about 13 minutes, maybe even 12 and change when you include the preview for the next episode. You can tell there was a lot cut out there. Look, it's social media content. Our shorter videos do better. Everybody's shorter videos, for the most part, does better. People's attention span is less. But I would have liked to seen the episode in that, 25 to 30-minute range where we get to see a little bit more, maybe a little bit more back at the shop as well. Obviously, there's only so much they can show us there. But all in all, I thought the episode was solid, right? Like if you wanted an inside look on the team and some of the personalities, you got a little bit of that. I would have liked a little more of it personally. Um, But one aspect of that I would like to touch on is Josh Williams. Josh Williams, fairly, might I add, has run into quite a bit of criticism this season for maybe not having the on track results, but obviously he's a new dad, and being away from his spouse and his child a lot in the early months has got to be, killing him. I know as a father of three, you want to be there as much as you can, just in general, but especially in the early months. Um, and to have to go and perform like that, and we've seen how pissed off he got at Coda when essentially someone else's error ended up costing costing him a chance at really even competing in the race. And he had never raced any laps at Coda. That is one hell of a difficult road course facility. He didn't get any practice or qualifying time, so expectations were low. And then to be taken out before you even have a shot, I thought that the documentary really shed some light on just how important AJ Allmendinger is to Kaulig Racing. Matt Kaulig, and I quote, called him, he is the team. Without AJ Allmendinger, there's probably no team to this extent in terms of how many wins he's brought them, how much notoriety he's brought them. It's quite remarkable how that has transpired. Obviously, a close relationship with Chris Rice was on display, but I think the thing that we'll focus on here for a minute or two is the Coda race. They go into that race with the two best road course racers there are in NASCAR, AJ Allmendinger and SVG. It's the first road course race of the year. SVG starts out in the lead. AJ Allmendinger catches up and passes him. The two of them race to I believe they were out there by 11 or 12 seconds on the rest of the field. Obviously, stage breaks come into play. The rest of the field catches up. But you get to a late restart here, and this is where I'm not just blaming one of them. I'm kind of blaming both of them for not having, you're late in the race, so you don't want to just give away your whole plan. But at the same time, your teammates, you want to make sure after how much the two of you have dominated that race, that you find a way to make sure one of you wins. And we get to a late race restart, and there's SVG fans. I know a good chunk of you follow this channel. You're not going to like this, but he flat out runs AJ off the track. And I don't mean just runs him wide, runs him off the track. That front car at the front left that you see is SVG. He's the control car. AJ outbrakes him into turn one and is going to pass him on the outside. And SVG makes the choice, instead of making the tight turn at turn one, he's going to run him, and I believe Ty Gibbs is the high car there, as far out on the racetrack as you want. And I'm not saying the contact was intentional. Uh, Look, you get that close to another car, it's really easy to get sucked in. But he grazes him to begin with, and then it's a full-on door slam after that. The evidence does not lie here. SVG's car should be pointed the other direction, and it is not. Here's an onboard look from AJ's car. AJ went on to say, he drove me straight off the fucking racetrack. And then after the race, I don't know if that's Bruce he's talking to or Alex. He said he knew he was going to lean on me, but the dude just knocked the steering wheel right out of my hands. And I'm not saying that you can't race your teammate hard like that. I think these things happen. You're talking about the two best road course racers in NASCAR. SVG has 3 wins in Xfinity this year to AJ's 0. AJ won a Cup Series race last year and Xfinity Series races. SVG won a Cup race last year as well. It's the cream of the crop, winning races in not the best equipment either. But I think you got to find a way to prevent that from happening, because what followed literally right after this was AJ got hit for cutting the course, and it was quite close. It looked like the 48 had forced him off. And then a couple laps later, SVG gets hit for cutting the course. And instead of these guys talking about a first and second place finish, which was basically guaranteed, they opened the door for the most dangerous stock car driver in the world, Kyle Larson, to come in and win, and 2 penalties each end up sitting AJ and SVG back in 10th, and I think it was 25th or 30th, respectively. Just unacceptable on both their parts. And this is something I'd like to see change as we go into Watkins Glen and Cota. But I'm telling you, AJ doesn't have a win yet. SVG has 3. I've been watching AJ Allmendinger a long time. Don't be surprised if there's a receipt given for what happened at the end of Cota. People might not like it, but it's fair game. And I don't think AJ would put SVG in a position that would, knock him out of a race or, cost him a chance at advancing in the playoffs. But make no mistake, I think he feels that there's a receipt owed. I just hope they don't. I hope both competitors put the team first at the end of the day. Now we're going to move on to a little video we have of an F1 lap that I'm going to do here on the Xbox Series X at the new NASCAR road course at Mexico City. So what I wanted to do in this video is, with the pending announcement of NASCAR to Mexico City, which is supposed to come down in the next 24 to 48 hours, is actually go to the Mexico City F1 track and do a lap around it in F1 2023. Obviously, there's not an existing NASCAR game with it, but this is honestly one of my favorite Formula One tracks. I think the track will work very well for NASCAR in the Xfinity and in the Cup Series. Just the track is it's state of the art. There's high braking zones. Obviously you get the long straightaway. We're going to go through all that, but this will give you an idea of what to expect. And I really do think a course like this is going to benefit drivers like AJ Allmendinger and SVG. I don't know if they run the Mexico City track for the V8 supercars or not. I have no knowledge of that whatsoever. I don't think they do. And NASCAR, I don't think has run on this particular track before, but I could be wrong. This is state of the art. Really, really looking forward to this track. Let's do a lap around it. Hopefully I don't look too terrible doing it. I do think the visuals, the in-race visuals for this track are going to be just absolutely mind-blowing. And I think if you're a team that has a good setup for Cota, and Kaulig does both in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, same with Trackhouse actually, when it comes to the Cup Series, is you will probably be successful here. Because in terms of road courses on the NASCAR schedule now, this is the most like Cota out of them all. So this is the final turn, which leads you to the start-finish line. There's the start-finish line right here. And then you get this long straightaway, which is going to take you down into a high braking zone, where it's probably going to be wreck central, as Max Verstappen doesn't care but to pull out right in front of me. And you get a quick little S here. You're going to have guys that go over the chicane, use more of the track. We get another short little straightaway before another high braking zone here. And that's the impressive thing about this facility, is you have multiple high braking zones in it. And again, you'll have some runoff here where you can use more of the racetrack. Obviously, if you're not right on the racing surface, you're going to wear your tires down more. And then you get a stretch of S's here, another braking zone where you got to brake a little early, let off into it. For the F1 cars, they can get through this area of the track pretty flawlessly. Reminder that you got to keep 2 tires on the racing surface at all time. Another high braking zone here, just starting to rain. This will be a treacherous course in the rain if they have to race it. Another braking zone here. And then we're right back basically to where we started. Another braking zone. And back to the start-finish line. So an F1 car, which will be much faster than a NASCAR, I just went P1 there. Sorry, P3 there. P1, yeah, wishful thinking. At a 124.59. The nice part about this track is part of it is in stadium and part of it is out of stadium, right? So you're getting a couple of different looks at this track. Let me know in the comment section down below if you like the facility. Obviously, this is just a game on the Xbox Series X. But for me personally, it's one of my favorite F1 facilities. And the fact that NASCAR is going here, hopefully for more than a year, is super exciting now. The only thing they could do to top this, in my opinion, is get a Montreal race back on the schedule. One, obviously, me being Canadian. But two, it's another state-of-the-art racing facility. And you add these two tracks to the schedule, and like you're just going leaps and bounds above what you have on the schedule now. No offense to the likes of Portland or Sonoma or some of those other road courses. They don't compare to a place like Mexico City. Again, like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all to keep up to date with all the content that we're doing here. And we will see you in the next video. Keep a smile on that face.